In this video, we are continuing our Funerals Around the World series and heading to the USA to take a look at the Amish and their end-of-life and funeral practices. And in some ways, this went in the direction I thought, and in other ways, it really didn't. Before we begin, we post death and dying related videos every Friday, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's talk Amish funeral practices. Okay, so in a nutshell, without going back a few hundred years in history, the Amish, who come in the Old Order and New Order variety, are a Christian ethno-religious group of Swiss, German and Alsatian origins. They are known for pacifism, for not conforming to the ways of the modern world, living a simple life, and valuing community, fellowship and family above all else in life. They value hard work and doing things with love, which is reflected in the quality of the work that they do and the craftsmanship that has come to be identified with Amish wares. Everyday life and customs are governed by an unwritten code of behaviour called the German word for order, discipline, rules and systems. The goal of these rules is to help the Amish become more Christ-like. The Amish are mostly found in the US, particularly in the states of Pennsylvania, Ohio and Indiana, and their population is currently just under 400,000. And with that, a heads up that there's about to be a lot of God talk and on to the death parts. End of life. Following their Christian faith, the Amish see death as God's will and an opportunity for spiritual growth. They view each individual's existence as a sacred journey filled with opportunities to seek salvation and develop a personal relationship with God. Therefore, the end of life is seen as a significant transition, marking the soul's passage from this earthly existence to the eternal realm. As far as medical care goes, the Amish religion does not restrict people from seeking modern medical care. For the most part, Amish use local doctors and dentists and will use specialists in hospitals if they see fit. However, they are very cautious healthcare consumers. They pay for most of their medical procedures out of pocket and in cash, and in the three main states that the Amish live in, they have found ways to make this an easy transaction. All forms of insurance are generally discouraged, including medical healthcare coverage, as it would show a lack of faith in God who provides. Given that the Amish are economical in their healthcare choices, they prefer to self-medicate or remedy an ailment by recommendations of friends and family before seeking healthcare professionals. Some recommendations are considered to be folk medicine and include practices of faith healing, herbal treatments, and other non-traditional medical remedies. The use of folk remedies for mild ailments is based on the need of the Amish to remain self-sufficient. If there does not seem to be any improvement as a result of their own remedies, then they will usually turn to healthcare providers for service. Thus, when an Amish person does show up to the emergency room, the provider often assumes that the person has already been in a lot of pain and may be quite advanced in their medical condition. The expression of physical symptoms may be minimalized, since that might be interpreted as complaining against God's will. In America today, those with less ability to pay for healthcare can often attend free clinics or receive government support. But the Amish would deem those kind of offers to be inappropriate and would refuse to accept them. The larger Amish community provides resources for healthcare needs beyond the ability of the family to provide. Thus, the collection of resources to support hospital stays, organ transplants, treatments for diseases or extended illnesses are a communal decision. With the emphasis on communal care rather than individual care, the decision is often made to forego a procedure that is deemed too costly and may burden the community too much. It is common for the Amish to reject extraordinary measures to save a life, as such measures may attempt to interfere with God's will. The Amish value simplicity and prioritize peaceful, natural deaths wherever possible. They favour home care for the terminally ill, believing that being surrounded by loved ones in a familiar setting can provide comfort and solace during the dying process. And in their time of need, most communities will allow hospice nurses to attend the dying individual, but the vast majority of care is done by the community, relying on prayer, community support and natural remedies to ease the physical and emotional burden of those nearing end of life. In Amish culture, the importance of family and community support cannot be overstated, particularly during times of illness and the approaching death. When an Amish community member falls ill, family members and children, friends and fellow church members rally together to provide physical, emotional and spiritual support. Each Amish person accepts that it is their responsibility for the welfare of their fellow church members, and members believe that support like this helps ease the burden of the dying individual and their immediate families, fostering an environment of love, compassion and solidarity during these challenging times. According to the Amish religion, as creator of all things, God alone decides when a person's life should end. The Amish do not question God's wisdom and authority on this matter. They trust in God's knowledge of all things. Funerals. After death, the members of the community prepare the body of the deceased for burial by following the rules set out in their Book of Rules. The body is washed and prepared for burial while family members of the departed make the deceased burial clothes. Family members of the same sex dress the body in white, and deceased women may wear the white cap and apron worn at their wedding. And because the body will not be refrigerated in a morgue and will be viewed in an open casket, it's often embalmed. Did anyone else see that coming? I would have bet good money that they were one of the few groups in the US who didn't use embalming, but there you go. It seems the Amish of the old order believes somewhat differing on the issue of embalming. The ultra-conservative communities, embalming is not practiced. Indeed, the body is kept cool on ice and the funeral and burial process is hastened. However, in most Amish communities, a mortician will collect and transport the body to the local mortuary for embalming, though not for cosmetic improvement, and then quickly return within a few hours back to the community. So, yeah. Amish rules dictate that the burial always has to take place within 3 days after death. In the days leading up to the burial, the community takes care of all the arrangements. The body is prepared, the coffin is built, the funeral service is conducted, and the grave is dug, all within those 3 days. Amish coffins are built by the men of the community using pine wood, and they are purely functional, echoing the humility displayed by all Amish things. The coffins aren't decorated and they have none of the extra trappings, padded interiors and all the other adornments that we usually see at modern funerals. They don't even have handles. For the funeral, 4 pallbearers are chosen and their marital status must match that of the deceased. Their duties include preparing the coffin room for an open casket viewing, transporting the coffin, and carrying the deceased to the grave. During the viewing of the body, it is displayed in an open casket in a room that has been made bare. The viewing lasts 24 hours with community members paying their respects in a timely but not rushed manner. Amish funeral services are typically held in the family's home, barn or nearby church, with the entire Amish community gathering to pay their respects. The services are solemn with prayers, hymns and scripture readings from the community's ordained minister. And because this focus on the positive aspects of death, there is no need for a eulogy to be read as a tribute to the deceased. The average duration of an Amish funeral lasts around 2 hours and all community members are expected to attend in black mourning attire. However, there is often a dedicated childminder to occupy restless children outdoors. The hearse, a large black carriage pulled by horses, leads a long procession of other characters to the burial ground. A brief viewing and graveside service marks the return of dust to dust. Pallbearers lower the coffin and shovel soil into the grave as the bishop reads hymns. Small, equal-sized tombstones indicate the place of the deceased in a community of equality. Tombstones carry only the name, date of birth and death, and the years you lived. No other wording is permitted and no statues or pictures are allowed. Most Amish are buried within their own private cemeteries and community elders keep records of who's buried in each grave. After the funeral, there is a wake, and like many Amish traditions and customs, there's a lot of food. But particularly, Amish women carry loaves of bread and bakes to the community meal after the funeral in wicker bread baskets and pie carriers. They make these and other wicker items by hand according to traditional craft methods handed down throughout the centuries. And I wasn't aware that Amish traditional crafts and homewares are quite sought after and of excellent quality, so you learn something new every day. So this video was a suggestion from our comments section, which I've thoroughly enjoyed researching, and I hope you've learned something new as well. I have a long list of places to visit in this series, but if you have any that you are dying to know about, please let us know in the comments. And with that, go talk death.